Pan Am Flight 73, 1986, a tragic tale of heroism and loss prelude to a nightmare. On September 5th, 1986, Pan Am Flight 73, a Boeing 747-121, began its journey as a routine transcontinental flight. The aircraft, carrying 379 passengers and crew, embarked on its route from Bombay, now Mumbai, India, to New York City, with planned stopovers in Karachi, Pakistan, and Frankfurt, Germany. The day started like any other at Jinnah International Airport in Karachi, bustling with travelers and staff. However, lurking among them was a team of 4 heavily armed terrorists, members of the Abu Nidal organization, a Palestinian extremist group. Their objective was grim: to hijack the aircraft, take hostages, and use the passengers as leverage to demand the release of prisoners in Cyprus and Israel. They were prepared to kill if their demands were not met. The hijacking unfolds as the flight landed in Karachi for its first stopover. The terrorists disguised themselves as airport security personnel and approached the aircraft. Armed with assault rifles, pistols, grenades, and explosives, they forcefully breached the boarding stairs, storming the plane. Their entry was swift and brutal, immediately throwing passengers and crew into a state of shock and fear. The cockpit crew, including the captain, co-pilot, and flight engineer, managed to escape through an overhead hatch, leaving the cabin under the terrorist control. This bold move ensured that the hijackers could not force the pilots to fly the plane, potentially averting a larger disaster. However, it also left the passengers and cabin crew trapped and vulnerable. A cabin under siege inside the aircraft, chaos reigned. The hijackers rounded up passengers, shouting commands and brandishing weapons. Their primary focus was on identifying American citizens who they intended to use as high-value hostages. The terrorists ordered the crew to collect passports from all passengers. Amidst the turmoil, 22-year-old senior flight purser Neerja Bhanot emerged as a beacon of courage. Neerja and her fellow crew members covertly began hiding American passports, shoving them under seats and into garbage bins, risking their lives to protect targeted passengers. Despite the intense pressure, Neerja maintained her composure, reassuring terrified passengers, especially children and the elderly. The standoff and rising tensions, the hijackers demanded the release of their comrades imprisoned in Cyprus and Israel, threatening to kill passengers if their demands were not met. Pakistani authorities engaged in tense negotiations with the hijackers while formulating a strategy to end the crisis. As hours turned into an excruciating 16-hour standoff, the cabin atmosphere grew increasingly tense. Passengers whispered prayers while the hijackers became more agitated and aggressive. The tragic turn of events as night fell, the hijackers, realizing their demands might not be met, began preparing for a violent resolution. They cut off the aircraft's power, plunging the cabin into darkness. In the cover of the blackout, the terrorists opened fire on passengers and detonated grenades, unleashing a horrifying wave of violence. The scene inside the aircraft became one of absolute chaos. Passengers screamed as bullets tore through the cabin and grenades exploded, filling the air with smoke and debris. Despite the mayhem, Neerja Bhanot and her crew sprang into action. She managed to open an emergency exit, urging passengers to escape. In her final act of bravery, Neerja shielded 3 children from gunfire, sacrificing her own life in the process. The aftermath: when Pakistani commandos stormed the aircraft, they found a grim scene of devastation. 20 people had lost their lives, including Neerja, and over 100 were injured. However, the courage and quick thinking of Neerja and her crew saved the majority of the passengers. A legacy of courage, the hijacking of Pan Am Flight 73 remains one of the darkest moments in aviation history, underscoring the devastating impact of terrorism. Yet, it also serves as a testament to the power of human resilience and selflessness. Neerja Bhanot's sacrifice became a source of inspiration, reminding the world of the profound difference one individual can make. Her legacy lives on through memorials, awards, and films dedicated to her life. To this day, she is remembered not only as a victim of terrorism, but as a hero who stood tall in the face of unimaginable adversity. A beacon of courage and sacrifice, Neerja Bhanot, the senior purser of Pan Am Flight 73, was only 22 years old when she faced the harrowing hijacking that would test her bravery, compassion, and leadership. Born in Chandigarh, India, Neerja had joined Pan American World Airways in 1985, a career that matched her vibrant personality and her commitment to serving others. On September 5, 1986, her actions would etch her name in history as a symbol of selfless heroism. Calm amidst chaos, when 4 armed terrorists stormed the aircraft in Karachi, Neerja immediately recognized the gravity of the situation. Despite the shock and fear gripping the cabin, she quickly took charge, ensuring passengers remained calm. Her training and instinct took over as she began coordinating with her crew, prioritizing the safety of the passengers even under immense pressure. When the hijackers demanded the collection of passports to identify American citizens whom they planned to use as primary hostages, Neerja acted swiftly and decisively. Risking her life, she and her fellow crew members hid American passports under seat cushions, in trash bins, and even among the passengers' belongings. This courageous act thwarted the hijackers' plan to target specific individuals, potentially saving many lives. Compassion for passengers. Throughout the 16-hour ordeal, Neerja displayed remarkable composure and compassion. She provided comfort to frightened passengers, especially children and elderly individuals, ensuring they felt supported during the terrifying experience. Despite facing life-threatening danger herself, she never wavered in her role as a protector and caretaker. Final act of sacrifice. The situation escalated dramatically when the terrorists opened fire and began detonating grenades in the cabin. Amid the chaos, Neerja took immediate action to save as many lives as possible. She opened an emergency exit and directed passengers towards safety, guiding them out of the aircraft. Her unwavering courage in the face of danger ensured that many escaped unharmed. In her final moments, Neerja demonstrated the ultimate act of selflessness. While helping passengers evacuate, she noticed 3 young children struggling in the crossfire. Without hesitation, she shielded them with her own body, taking the brunt of the gunfire. Tragically, her injuries proved fatal, but her sacrifice ensured the survival of those children and many others. Legacy of bravery. Neerja Bhanot's heroism transcended her tragic death. She became the youngest recipient of India's Ashoka Chakra, the country's highest peacetime gallantry award, for her extraordinary courage. Her story inspired countless individuals worldwide, with her legacy celebrated through books, films, and awards. Her actions during the hijacking of Pan Am Flight 73 remain a testament to the profound impact of bravery and compassion. Neerja's name is forever etched in history, not just as a victim of terrorism, but as a hero whose sacrifice saved lives and uplifted humanity in its darkest hour. The tragedy of Pan Am Flight 73, the hijacking of Pan Am Flight 73 on September 5, 1986, stands as a sobering reminder of the devastating impact of terrorism on innocent lives. What began as a routine international flight turned into a horrifying ordeal when 4 heavily armed terrorists stormed the aircraft at Karachi's Jinnah International Airport. Their mission, orchestrated by the Al-Banidal organization, was to hold the passengers and crew hostage as leverage for the release of prisoners in Cyprus and Israel. The events that unfolded highlighted both the terrifying brutality of terrorism and the resilience of the human spirit. The human cost of terror. The hijacking lasted 16 excruciating hours, during which passengers and crew endured immense psychological and physical trauma. In the final moments of the crisis, the terrorists unleashed a horrific act of violence. Cutting the aircraft's power and plunging it into darkness, they opened fire and detonated grenades indiscriminately among the passengers. The resulting carnage left 20 people dead, including crew members, and more than 100 others wounded, some with life-altering injuries. The victims were from diverse nationalities and backgrounds, united only by the unfortunate circumstance of being aboard Flight 73. Families were torn apart, lives were cut short, and survivors were left to grapple with the physical and emotional scars of the attack. For many, the tragedy was not just a moment of terror, but a lifelong burden of grief and trauma.